This video is for you. If you're having a hard time trying to get motivated, feeling like you're burning out, like nothing is going your way, let me talk to you about perspective. Firstly, what am I doing here? Well, I caught some video a couple weeks ago about polishing dirt into a shiny orb and said, hey, that's cute. Looks like a simple little project I can get my hands on and give me a break from this other big project I'm working on. I could probably get that done in a weekend. And aside from being incredibly naive, it also goes against the principles of what this art form actually is. I'll get into that more later, but before I really get into the weeds, this is called dorodango, which means mud dumpling in Japanese. In the simplest terms, we're going to try to turn ordinary soil into a polished sphere. If you look this up online, you'll see these beautiful, highly reflective globes in various colors and sizes and think, wow, how could that possibly be made from just dirt? And to that question, I will try my best to explain and demonstrate. Now, I had never heard of this before seeing a short of one of these being made, and before jumping right into trying to make one, learning along the way. Only now that I'm editing the video am I trying to do a little research into the history and purpose of this task, and apparently this was happy playtime for children in ancient Japan. So says this article I found online on the topic. That's absolutely amazing to me because, having done it, I will tell you that it is incredibly tedious. I can see it being meditative to people that enjoy embroidery, knitting, diamond art, or any other slow, repetitive task that results in something pretty. For me, this is mind-numbingly painful, but I've prided myself in becoming a completionist, someone that sets out to do something and finishes the job. Being a hobbyist of the rapid skill acquisition variety, aka a Gemini with too many tools, I also consider myself pretty adept at being very good at picking up one of these new skills and being proficient by the time I'm done. This doesn't mean that I strive for absolute perfection, and in fact, that may be the type of person who would enjoy this craft more than myself. Personally, I feel, especially in art, the stage at which the artist says, yeah, that's good enough, is exactly the stage they should stop, because otherwise we fall into the habit of staring at it until we absolutely hate it and resent that we started the project in the first place, questioning the choices that brought us to this stage of our life where the pain of continuing our work becomes unbearable. It's a super bleak feeling. I have to stop myself here again and take it back a second to warn you, dear viewer, not to make my first mistake. When I collected the dirt that would become the ball, it came with living inhabitants. Only after I started to sift the finer soil through the screen that I used to make paper did I realize I had apparently taken ants in with it. In order to prevent the outside ants from making an inside colony, I drenched the soil in isopropyl. This was effective, but if you do the same, take it outside to dry because the fumes will be strong and it will take longer to dry than you expect. That's all. Now, where was I? Right, so art, for me, is often about balancing the joy of creative expression with the pain of creative expression. But I'd rather make something I love than to spend so much time making something perfect that I no longer do. This project inherently requires an eye for perfection and the patience of a Galapagos tortoise. The beginning stages are easy. Take mud, form a ball, let it dry, make mud, pack it onto the ball, let it dry, rinse and repeat until it's roughly the desired size. Now, you form the ball into a sphere by wetting the edge of a jar with a smaller opening than the ball's diameter, working your way around in circles to shape the ball. But so long as you're doing this, the ball will not be getting any smoother. In order to progress into stages of finer smoothness, I used a high grit sandpaper, 3000 grit specifically, to further smooth the ball out, as well as the back of a spoon. Another thing to note is that you can't ever have the ball too wet or too dry during this stage, or the outermost layer starts peeling away, revealing the rough, craggy interior. Further in the process, you basically only moisten the outside by dampening your hands and passing the ball back and forth, and dust the exterior in the finest particles of soil, and only work them onto the surface with your hands, letting the dust dry the surface and repeating the process. In every stage, you'll see the gaps be filled and the surface smooth out. The issue I ran into was when the ball dried in between. My surface kept on cracking like the mud in a dried up desert lake bed, and I never truly figured out what to do with that or why it was happening. My suspicion is that the soil I used did not have a high enough clay content, so your results may vary. I don't think there's any further advice I could give you to try and end up with a perfectly glass-like exterior, except to keep working it and you'll see what I did soon enough. Now, what does a project like this teach us? Patience? Sure, of course, that's obvious, but the word I encounter when looking at the info online for this art form is mindfulness. What is mindfulness? Well, it's about engaging in the now. No dwelling on the past, no worrying about the future, just being here now. This is something I've always found very interesting, and it's the place I often try to take myself mentally when I meditate. Just creating a space in my mind that encapsulates the moment. Maybe I've made some tea and I just focus on the smell of the tea. I imagine myself in a warm, comforting darkness at the bottom of a sea of this dark brown tea, devoid of other life or distraction. I focus on my breathing, the aroma, the warmth of my own body, and complete stillness. I find great comfort and calmness in these moments. As for dorodango, I'm not sure that this works the same way for me. Yes, my focus is on honing the surface of the ball, but then I'm hit by the immense frustration of setback every time a chunk of that smooth surface chips away, and it's soul-crushing. Knowing that the work of the past hour or hours now has to be redone completely. In a strange way, I feel like this is a universal lesson in perspective. I'm sure that most, if not all of us, have experienced the feeling that we've worked incredibly hard towards a goal, only to have our plans completely blow up in our face. Whether it's halted by setback or flops on delivery, the feeling is much the same, an immense disappointment. Funny enough, when this happens to your friend or your loved one, it's easy to stand from an outsider's point of view and say, you know what, you did great, you gave it your all, and that's all that matters. But when it's ourselves, suddenly we get hypercritical. What a huge mistake, what a faux pas, how embarrassing. I'll surely be up at night 7 years from now thinking back to this moment and unable to sleep from the relived pain of this moment. This is the part where the LinkedIn grind setters talk about failing your way to success, but let me spill the tea here. Success is not a binary, meaning something does not have to either be failure or successful. Success is also not an objective measurement, it's something subjective. If my goal is to do 10 push-ups, for example, and I only do 8, my perspective can be that I failed to do 10 push-ups, or that I succeeded in doing 8, and then I will try again, and I will try again, and eventually 10 push-ups will be an easy task, and then 12 and 14 and so on. Now that's controllable. What happens when things don't go our way? Like it's not controllable. Like I really wanted this job, and I thought the interview went really well, but then they picked someone else. Then it's not as easy as I try to interview again and again until they take me. Sometimes there's no more opening in that position, and we're forced to ask ourselves what we did wrong to not get the offer. And maybe there was nothing we could have done in the first place. Success to me is that you tried. In this day and age, I feel we're so bombarded by the demands of corporate policy and expectations of bosses and production deadlines, and by social media and family pressures, the rising costs of everything. The exhaustion of trying to balance insane 60-hour work weeks and hour-long commutes, 150 emails a day, 3 group chats just in your work circles, plus your friends, your family, events you need to attend, bills coming due, etc. and ad infinitum, that when the time comes to work on something that may be rewarding or fun or help further your personal goals, the molehill of even starting or trying becomes a mountain. When would I have time? I'm so exhausted already. Maybe tomorrow. I think I would need to get all the tools first so that I couldn't make excuses not to finish. Motivation isn't something you can force though. I'd be lying through my teeth if I told you I was always motivated to go to the gym or to work on these projects. Don't get me wrong, I love making things, really. I love when the thing is made, but motivation, I don't always have it. Matter of fact, I rarely have it. One big reason that we record these projects for YouTube, though, is to break down the barriers to entry into these projects. We're not here telling you exactly how to do it, and we're not hiding when we make mistakes or that we don't know what we're doing, because if the fear of making mistakes is going to stop you from trying, then you'll never start. We want to encourage you to try that thing you saw someone else do and thought it would be neat to do yourself. Starting that thing, trying, and making mistakes is an accomplishment on its own. Now, let me make my final comment on this project. I was nearly finished. I finally got the surface looking really nice, and I wanted to lock in my progress. I attempted to coat it in Mod Podge to seal it up with a glossy clear coat, but as soon as it got tacky, the surface started coming off in big chunks, undoing 3 to 4 hours of work. I set it down and walked away from it, and I haven't looked at it since. I was so sure I was going to be done that night, and now I can't stand to look at it again. I may attempt this again in the future, maybe with a new approach and a new understanding of the undertaking, but for right now, I'm leaving it as is, a testament to the fact that I tried my best. One final thought to leave you with is that by any measure, if there's a hill you're afraid to climb, just take one step onto the hill today. Then tomorrow, try 2 steps. You've got this. Take it one step at a time and celebrate the fact that you're making progress, that you're trying, and that you remain here to fail again another day. Take care of yourselves. If you've enjoyed watching, please like the video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe, or be cursed to have an incredible itch in a place you can't scratch around classy folk every time you're around classy folk.